Pleased to welcome two gentlemen today. Anthony Maione, the president of Core America. Hi, Anthony.
Hello.
Along with Tony Maione, the founder and executive senior consultant of Core America. Hi, Tony.
Nice to be here. Thanks.
I understand Core America is a consulting and technology firm to help cleaning industry professionals achieve what you call cleaner, healthier, and safer buildings. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jeff. We work with schools, hospitals, businesses, government buildings all over the country, and we help them assess and implement cleaning solutions to their programs. Yep.
Fantastic. So again, thank you both for being here today. We're going to talk about something that no one wants to talk about, or at least if they talk about it, they wish they weren't. It's called a possible recession. It's in the news. Everyone's thinking about what the next months or couple of years might bring. So it's on the minds of many today. A smart professional will prepare for a downturn in the economy and what it may do to a cleaning organization. So let's get your thoughts. I know you two are experts in this. Based on your experience, what are some fundamental ways that a custodial or janitorial program can prepare for a possible recession? Either one of you can talk on that.
Sure, Jeff. I'll jump in first here. And with our responses, we're going back to some of what we saw from the recession in the 08-09 timeframe. I know this one, if it happens, would be different, but Tony Sr. and I really like to go back to, and you mentioned it in your question, fundamentals. So, and when I think of fundamentals, I like to start with the culture of an organization. When I say culture, I mean, the purpose, the vision, the values, how all of that affects a cleaning program's essence and the way that they relate with one another and to their customers. So first things first, I like to start with that. And one reason is because no matter what the economy does, it's always good to have a good culture and a good purpose-driven organization. So, as far as prepping for a possible recession, if you have culture issues, that's where I would begin. Having that identity of your program. Does everybody from management down to the kind of frontline worker, does everybody understand their role, how they affect the outcome of creating cleaner and safer buildings? Is that celebrated? Is that talked about? Is that well understood? And then having a vision for what you ultimately want your cleaning organization to look like. I think if you have that kind of fundamental, almost like the DNA of the program off or wrong, that gets magnified in times of recession and can really blow up. So I like to start there.
All right, good information. Tony, anything to add to that?
I would say along with that is cooperation with all the various stakeholder groups. If you're cleaning a building, you're cleaning for some set of customers, some set of stakeholders. And more than ever, because of the pandemic, the work that we do is front and center. And everybody wants an opinion on it. It's more high profile, and it's important to include all of those stakeholders in everything that you do. That goes right down to aligning your capabilities with their expectation level. Many of the clients that we talk to, and when I say clients, those folks that provide cleaning for whatever type of facility, will tell me that they get frustrated because they don't have the same level of capability as the expectation level of the client. So one of the things is important early on to align those things, because if you have to make changes due to a recession, or in different times, again, the pandemic warranted some changes. And I brought that up twice now because I think it's kind of knocked us a little off course, and it has to be considered in all of our decisions. But all the stakeholders now are aware of the risks, they're aware of the effort, and they need to be included. So that alignment of your resource level with their expectation level is important now, and it needs to stay that way, because if you need to make changes based on budget because of recession, then you want to be able to adjust that resource level and adjust the expectation level of your customer and include them in the decision making. So, you have to have the right foundation, as Anthony said, but also consider a flexible organizational structure that's working together with the stakeholders to be able to make the changes when they're needed.
Well, thank you for that. My next question is, what are some more innovative ways that could help prepare a program for difficult economic times? Something outside the box, I guess.
Sure. Well, first of all, I think any kind of innovation that you're pushing for, it's going to be a lot easier to get it now or like pre-recession or at the beginning of a recession versus, if this does turn into a more serious recession. So whatever you're asking for in terms of new software, technology, equipment, I think accelerating that decision and being more deliberate about advocating for that will ultimately help the odds of getting it and achieving it. But as far as more innovative ways to prepare for a recession, one is building on what Tony Sr. was just talking about, and that's the process of doing a custodial or a janitorial workload. So it's using software where you can load square footage or unit counts and different things like that to very efficiently play with some different spec options and some different staffing outcomes, so that you're having not just kind of back of the napkin conversations with your stakeholders, but actual data based on metrics and math and objective standards to show different levels of cleaning and different staffing levels that go with that and how that might affect outcomes and quality. So I guess the first thing would be kind of investing or looking into a more sophisticated workloading process, whether you get help for that or do it internally. But beyond that, some more kind of out of the box ideas. One would be day cleaning. And it's, day cleaning's been around for a long time. And actually during the pandemic, a lot of people either dabbled in it or went all into day cleaning. But if you haven't looked at that yet, that could be a nice way to kind of get the most bang for your buck, so to speak. If you have to maybe cut back a little bit on your cleaning, if you could put more people on days doing the work, it might even feel like an increase in cleaning or quality if that effort is seen more by the stakeholders versus when it was more of a nighttime program. So that's one option. Another one is team cleaning. Again, this one's also not too out of the box, but if you can create teams of folks kind of going through waves through the facilities or through the properties, you can be more efficient and maybe have less of a labor need. There's some issues you have to be careful of that ergonomically and kind of burning out by having someone do too much of one task, but that could be a helpful thing. Robotics has been, kind of an up and coming topic of the industry. Robotics can be expensive, and that almost is counterintuitive in times of recession, but in the right situations with the right high efficiency needs, some implementation of autonomous cleaning could be helpful and could help you redeploy some resources in times of economic trouble or budget trouble. And then finally, I would say, I'll put in quotes, smart facility software. So we're also seeing a real renaissance in the industry of new products, new software platforms, allowing you to have much more insight into what's happening in your building. How many people just use that conference room, when the toilet paper gets low, what restroom gets used when and most heavily and when it's not used. So you can do more with less cleaning staff and be more responsive to the actual flow and needs of the building. And so those are just some semi out of the box or more out of the box ways that you might start planning. Tony Sr., I don't know if you had anything else you want to add to that.
Yeah, what I would say is I would think of those things as tools in your toolbox. And again, a carpenter is going to have the fundamentals. He's going to have the toolbox. He's going to plan ahead. He's going to use the appropriate tool at the appropriate time. So all of those options that Anthony discussed are good ones in the right circumstances, and again, working with all stakeholders in the equation. it's a good idea to be proactive and get out ahead of that, as Anthony mentioned. Maybe pilot some of these things. If you're cleaning, say, a campus, you pilot it in a building, or maybe in a section of a building, or maybe in a zone where it might be 3 or 4 buildings. Say you're piloting team cleaning. So you might try that first to see what the impact is, and then see if that is more scalable as the situation changes. But again, a well-run organization getting out ahead of these things will be, much better equipped when a recession hits.
No, those are good ideas. I imagine easier to say them than to do them, but if they're a good idea and it takes a little effort, the results will be there, and that's what we're looking for. Tony, let's start with you on this one. I think Anthony's taken the first couple of questions to start with. We'll go to you first. So let's say, we talked about what could happen, right? And some thoughts about, responding to what could happen. What if it happens? What if a recession does indeed occur? What then? Anything there?
Well, as a recession occurs, I think it's more important to focus on communication with the customer, those folks that are getting the benefit of your cleaning. We've actually seen task groups with some of our clients where they get together with those folks that inhabit, work, and spend time in the buildings, and they actually lay out a plan together. So it's communication, especially in times like that. Also, regardless of what model you're using, whether you're in-house or you're outsourced, becoming the best version of yourself, and that's kind of an overused phrase, I know, but we here really believe in that. Becoming the best version of yourself allows you to better react, to the changes in the environment. Having some different cleaning program levels already designed and ready to go would be a big plus. So for instance, in normal times, we're going to clean to this defined level. If it's tough times, we may go to level B. Recession might drive level C, and then DEFCON 1 requires level D, and everybody kind of knows that before that time comes. So you work together to implement, which things have make the largest impact without a downside. Maybe we put those in first, and then we look at subsequent steps afterwards. But again, an open relationship with the client, and I've said that a few times now, is so important, between the service provider, whether it's in-house or an outsourced group, and the client. Open, transparent relationship, what they're getting for their money, how much labor, what does that labor cost, what other resources are going in, which things can change when they need to, and what would be the triage, how would we go about doing that when a recession hits. So I think the communication and the open nature of the relationship would position someone very well for that.
Yeah, I like that. And let's avoid DEFCON anything, but if it happens, yeah. Well, we're hoping for the best, but those are good thoughts. If it does happen, that's a nice plan or way of approach, because you're right. Expectations need to be set where they can be met, and everyone's happy with that. Anthony, anything to add to that?
I guess just a couple things. I think, again, I keep going back to culture and morale. I think in times of recession or any difficulty, preserving the culture of your team and being extra sensitive to the custodians, the janitors, the EVS techs, just understanding what they're feeling, what they're seeing out there, reassuring them, keeping the team cohesive. I think the customers will sense that and appreciate that. And even if you are trying to do more with less or can't hit an old standard that you used to be able to achieve, a strong, energetic team can go a really long way. Also, during times of recession, there tends to be an increase in educational interest, more people going back to college or back to school. So again, proactively maybe getting ahead of that and offer additional training and educational opportunities to your cleaning staff to try to entice them to stay and not make a career move and increase the labor shortage we're already struggling with. And then finally, keep planning for the future, even during a recession. They don't last forever. We had some customers cut too deeply in 08 and 09, and it left their future very problematic when things started to get back to normal. And so you also want to think a couple years ahead still, and how you'll rebound out of it if it is going to happen.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so we've covered, what could happen, what to do if it does. Let's say time goes on and a recession does not happen. We come out of this, whatever we're in right now. Will all these things we've talked about be a waste of time? What do you think?
I don't think so. A good fundamentals are never a bad idea. And what we've talked about is being proactive and taking the time to build an organization around you that has specific objectives and remembers that those cleaners are our front line. I think it's good to see that that's finally being recognized, and most programs are geared toward, the most good programs are geared toward recognizing those folks doing the work. And when you do that, the other things fall into place. So again, whether a recession comes or not, it's time to do the important work first, and then you're ready for either scenario.
Yeah, but I'll just add to that, deliberately tying your program to a cleaning for health approach or environmental sustainability focus will help to protect the program and the investment in the program during the recession. But if the recession does not happen, you've already kind of benefited from going down that road in terms of the next pandemic or even the next flu season. You've strengthened the program for the health of the occupants in your building. And that's something ISSA has been advocating for that for over a decade now, and it's tough to see that this difficult pandemic was the thing that really made people believe in that. But I think if you haven't already brought your program to that cleaning for health approach, as well as a green sustainability approach, you're missing out on a critical element of the program. So and that'll benefit you in times of good economic times or bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, good advice. I appreciate it from both of you. And let's see what happens. At least those watching this might have a few tips to prepare and to get through this if a recession happens. Let's hope it doesn't. But I guess we'll revisit this another time once we know more. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for having us.